we can write R equals D1 over price plus G. Okay. The first component is called the dividend yield. The second component is called capital gains yield. And in this case, and R equals total yield or the rate of return. Now, in this problem, it pays a constant dividend, so capital gains yield was 0, or you can type 0. And dividend yield is going to be the total yield. So 4408 4316 this is for 1 day. Oh, I'm sorry. -1. So 2.13%. The market where one shareholder sells shares to another shareholder is called, if you read the chapter, who actually read the chapter? Let me see hands. Just honestly, why do you guys come to the class not having read the chapter? You have free books. It's not like you have an excuse, I can't afford it. In my upper level classes, I used to not assign any textbook because those tend to be really expensive. Even now, I don't particularly care. But in this class, you have no excuse now. It's free. All you have to do is go to the bookstore and get it. So you need to read the chapter. When you read the chapter, you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. I come to class preparing for the class, and you should come to the class preparing for the class. If you don't, it's your business. But you're going to have a better understanding here. Then, when the quiz time comes, you came to the class not having seen anything before. You can't put anything in context, and suddenly 6 hours before the deadline for the quiz, you have no idea what's going on. Yeah, you can go back to videos, but I see the view statistics. It doesn't even match the number of absences from the class. Let me put it that way. Even people who haven't come to the class are not watching the videos. Again, that's your business. I put it up there. That kind of shows it in some of the quiz scores. You know, the earlier chapters were, you know, you had the opportunity to run up the score. The top two counts a lot more than the others. I'm going to actually let you guys, I'm going to reopen those during the spring break. If you weren't happy, or if you didn't get a chance to do it, and some of you didn't even try, uh, look, it's your money. They pay me exactly the same, whether you get an A or an F from this class. It doesn't make any difference to me other than my conscience. You know, I got kids in college, so I know what the whole thing is all about. And I know how much it costs. So it's your money. You might as well learn something. Yeah, some of you will say, okay, I'm not a finance major. When am I going to ever need this? Well, if you take any job in business and you have no idea how to even think about present value of a future cash flow, and people actually notice that you don't, you're not going to stick around much longer. It's not about doing the math. Computers, Excel does all the math anyway, or the arithmetic. You got to show those people that you actually have an idea. Okay? If your major is marketing, sure, obviously you're going to know more about marketing. But just because you're not a finance major or an insurance major doesn't mean that this stuff is not useful for you. There's a reason I spend a lot of time on Excel. Have I read this DM I got from a student? She saw me coming out of Lowe's. There was an earthquake in Turkey those days, and she was asking about my family, but later she says, good seeing you, blah, blah, blah. I still look like a rock star constantly with all the Excel skills, including macros that you taught me in your classes. Now, do I get any extra income because I taught them? I didn't even have to. But now those students, when the inevitable downturns come, who's going to be fired first? In every business, there are people who are necessary and there are tools. And I'm not necessarily using the word tool in a negative sense. You do need tools. You need people. I call them linear thinkers. You tell them what to do, they do what they are told. You need people like that. The trouble is, you don't pay them $80 an hour. If you want to be paid $80 an hour, you're going to be one of the nonlinear thinkers. Nonlinear thinker doesn't mean that you're going to solve complicated equations. You got to look at things outside the box. That sort of stuff comes with mathematical way of thinking. It doesn't mean you have to know how to solve partial differential equations in particle physics. You need to know about the mathematical way of thinking. Take a problem, reduce it to things you know how to do. That's what math is all about, including those partial differential equations. If we solve a lot of those in pricing options and stuff, it turns out you build a lot of little problems that you know how to do, and you just put them together. That's why I teach you these things in Excel. I could have easily showed you how to do it in financial calculator. And next time you needed to do it again, you would never remember it because you can't have a spreadsheet of financial calculator. You can make a template in Excel, use it anything you want. But if you don't come to class having read the stuff, you spend more time about understanding trying to catch up about what the hell is going on instead of understanding actually what the hell is going on. This stuff is not complicated. It's all about how you approach the learning. In my entire college, master's, and PhD life, I never ever took notes. I had people who took notes, and I used to tutor them anyway, so they gave me their notes. And B, I learned much better when I wasn't busy writing down whatever the professor was writing on the board. This was before the days of Blackboard. If you didn't see it on the board, it was gone. That's my way of learning. Some people learn better if they write it down. Fine. But every time I went to class, I knew what the hell was going on. In my senior year, I was going to take 2 semesters of econometrics, which is kind of fancy stats for econ people. That summer I got sick. I was pretty much housebound for about a month. During that month, I had already bought the book. I finished the book. I solved most of the problems at the back of the chapters. I never, I mean, I went to the class, but because he was taking attendance, I never had to even study. Why? Because when I went to class, I already had a good idea what was going on. Whatever I didn't understand, professor was there to explain it. I could concentrate on those. So when you read the chapter, you say, okay, I get these parts. I'm curious about these. I'll learn it in the class. If I don't get it, I'll ask a question. I have to beg you guys to ask a question. Again, it's your money. They pay me the same. Whether you ask 50 questions or zero. But you're paying for it. You might as well learn something out of it. And if you're a finance major, you're going to need all this stuff in your upper level classes. I mean, I do go over some of the basics, but that's about it. Okay, there are two types of stock markets. One is called the primary market. These are the seller is the corporation, and the buyers are shareholders, like IPOs or secondary offerings. The rest is secondary market. Both the seller and buyers are old shareholder, new shareholder. When you go to market, buy a share of Google, that's the secondary market. When you go to the IPO and buy a share of Google, that's the primary market.